Big thanks to KamadoJoe for sponsoring this episode.
If you're like me and you love porchetta, you're gonna love my homemade version of it. I've been going through a lot of meat lately, so I hooked up with my butcher and I ordered half a black Angus cow. And I took it apart by myself so I could get exactly the parts that I wanted out of it. And one of the parts was this beautiful piece of beef belly. And the reason that I wanted this beef belly, of course, is to make a real beef porchetta. Of course, you all know the pork porchetta with that beautiful crusty bit on the outside, and we love it so much. But what if I could turn this into a delicious porchetta with a twist of my own? This is an exceptional piece of meat, a beautiful black Angus part of the belly. As you can see, we still have the meat that used to be sitting in between the ribs, and that is super tasty meat. And if I roll it up real tight, you can see beautiful dark red colors from the meat and a nice big hunk roll of fat and meat. Now most of that fat's gonna render down while we're cooking, and the rest is gonna make this cut of beef absolutely super juicy. With porchetta you can make two versions of it. The really authentic version of porchetta that basically comes from one or two factories out of Italy and supply all of Italy with porchetta. Or you can have a version of your own, like the local butchers do it. They have the basic ingredients of porchetta, which of course is fennel, salt and pepper. And then they go on their own, they make it special. Because that's what sets apart their shop from all the other shops. So if you're ever in Italy and you're thinking, hey man, this guy is not using the authentic porchetta ingredients. That's right, because he's trying to make the best porchetta he can, and a porchetta that only he is known for. Now the first ingredient that I'm gonna sprinkle on is salt. This is fleur de sel, it's a light sea salt, and I'm gonna follow it up with some ground pepper. Of course I like to use white peña pepper. Now I like pepper, so I'm using a lot of it. This stuff has so much flavor, it's crazy. Once that's done, I'm gonna add fennel seeds. I'm gonna put on a little bit of dried rosemary, a little bit of dried oregano, and a little bit of dried thyme. And of course I want to have some fresh garlic. My garlic cloves are so big, it's crazy. There we go. I'm using fresh garlic because it has a less extreme flavor than dried garlic. And I'm sprinkling it on, and during the cook it will spread out in flavor and it will get everywhere. Because you got to remember, the flavor from the garlic comes from the juices that sit inside these little bulbs. So they will spread out as we are cooking this beautiful roast. Of course, I can't forget some grated lemon. That's gonna brighten up the whole roast, and at the same time is going to balance out all of that beef fat. And this is where things are gonna be so much different than the original version. I'm gonna put on some Parmesan cheese, and there's a good reason I'm putting this on, because it's gonna give my roast umami flavors. And that is something traditionally you will never find on porchetta. Of course, with pork, that is not so much a popular thing to do, but I think with beef, it will make it so much better. So I'm definitely gonna give that a try. And now you also can see why it's important to put the salt at the bottom. Because if you would put the Parmesan cheese on first and the salt later, the salt wouldn't penetrate as much as it would now. And now my final ingredient, prosciutto di Parma. There we go. And I know this is going overboard and totally crazy, but hey, it's because we can. And if you want to keep it original, just keep it original. But I'm going all in on my roast. I'm gonna roll it up and apply some pressure. So I'm gonna have a nice tight rolled porchetta. Now I want to secure this porchetta with some butcher's twine, which I'm gonna show you the very easy version of a butcher's nut. It's just like tying up your shoe, but just a couple of more flips. Secure it and it will stay as it is. Then one more in the opposite direction just to make sure. I'm gonna repeat that process until my roast is completely secured. And there we have it, the end result of this beautiful porchetta. Look at this baby. Now probably the Italians have a name for this other than calling it a beef version of porchetta. But look at this beautiful piece of meat. And all my mind is telling me right now is, man, put some salt on this beautiful fat that sits on the outside so it can render down and become nice and crispy. So that's what I'm gonna do. A final sprinkle, and then I'm gonna fire up my KamadoJoe. I'm gonna be smoking this on the Kettle Joe, and I'm gonna use my slow roller. First, I'm gonna put in some KamadoJoe big block. Then I'm gonna add a couple of fire starters, light it up. Once the fire is lit up, I'm gonna put in a chunk of smoke wood, and I'm using a large chunk of beautiful beech wood. Place my slow roller on. Just place it on in the center. Stick in a wireless thermometer, close the lid, and let the barbecue do its job. I just got the notification from my phone that the core temperature on my roast is 63 degrees Celsius and that it's going to take another 10 minutes to rest and let it come up to a temperature of 65 degrees Celsius, just like I would with porchetta. Whoa, this thing looks absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful smoke color, rendered down fat. This is gonna be so tasty. Such beautiful colors, beautiful smoke, beautiful juiciness. It looks so good. And listen to this. That's the crispiness of the fat with the salt. This thing is absolutely amazing. Let's slice into it and take a look on the inside. Whoa. Now that's gonna beat any porchetta. I'm gonna take my carving knife and I'm gonna slice this up. All those beautiful ingredients sitting there on the inside, giving this thing flavor. So everything that you see right here, that dark red, that's all from the prosciutto. And look at this. If you weren't hungry, and if you weren't hungry before, I bet you are now. You never ever have to worry about drying out this piece of meat because there's a little bit of fat on the inside. And look at this, but it looks so good. And I want to give it a try and see what the flavor is like. Wow.
Nom 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 nom. I've smelled this from like my editing cave, so I'm can't wait to try this.
That is so good.
Oh, wow.
I believe I just made pancetta better.
It just puts a smile on my face, actually. It was Herb Master Morrison, but it was also a real herb master.
So super tasty. You gotta try this. You gotta make this. Go check out PitmasterX.com for the recipe.
Oh. No, no.
What do you call a herb master? Seriously. You're calling Morrison the herb master? Did you try the outside, like this piece?
No, I'll try it.
Really, really good.
There's so much flavor. I don't know where the sweetness comes from, but it's there.
And there's so much good stuff on this piece of meat.
Yeah.
Like we got red smoke flavors, we got all kinds of good things.
I want to have some too.
And you want to have some too. You gotta try this. Check out the recipe. Where did they find it?
PitmasterX.com.
Wow.
And if you want to thank Jim for editing these beautiful videos, because he's like a true genius.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're like
yeah.
Scorsese of barbecue.
It's better than that.
Oh, wow.
It's like every time he paints a Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
So give this guy some love.
Yeah.
Without Jim, we wouldn't be here.
No.
I feel so flattered right now.
Well, keep on eating.
I'll keep on eating.
Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, then leave us a big thumbs up and a comment down below. Hope to see you guys next time. Until then,
Eetsmakelijk.
and keep on. That's
on
right.
grilling.
Eetsmakelijk.
Oh.
Good.
Oh.
Oh. Oh. This is really good. Did people already click on the next video?
I hope so. I'll
absolutely.
just move away for that.
Move over, Rover.
Move over.